Okay, so this is the sixth lecture of object-oriented programming using Java. Today we will be discussing about the basic concepts of object-oriented programming. Okay, what object-oriented means and the basics of object-oriented, which are classes and objects. Fine. Okay, so let's get started. Okay, so fine. First, we will try to understand what object-oriented is. Okay, you have very often heard me using this terms object-oriented, object-oriented. So what is it? Okay, so you have gone through procedural programming. Yes, in procedural programming, what do we see? That given any problem, the problem is divided into, okay, the problem is always, whenever we get a problem, it is always a complex problem, because we at the very beginning we don't know what to do. Okay, how how it will work, or what are the variables that will be used in that program and so forth. So what we do is we take that complex program, okay, we try to break it up into parts. Yes, so you all know this by now. We break it up into parts, and each such part is called the function. Okay, even after breaking up, okay, even if after obtaining the different functions that constitute the problem, still if the functions appears again to be somewhat complex, then we again move forward, okay, to break them. We again move one step ahead, we break them again, and then again we get a new level of functions. Okay, so likewise we continue this until we get functions which are very much simple to understand, okay, which will help us understand what we are supposed to do, and accordingly we will design the logic and the code for that program. So that is what object oriented programming procedural programming does. Okay, and it follows top down approach, because we will have one problem, then we go on breaking it into parts until we reach the lowest level, where we will have very simple, very easy, uh, you know very simple, very basic functions that can be easily programmed. Fine. Talking about object oriented, see, procedural is procedures. Okay, it is based on procedures. Here object oriented is fully based on objects and classes. That means it is very much related to real life applications. Okay, today whenever we are to solve anything, whenever you are to design an application, we look more on the real world entities than on the behavior, than on the procedures. Okay, object oriented programming is mainly used to write applications which are related to the real life entities, that is the objects. Fine. So object oriented programming will break a problem into parts, and we call those parts as objects. Okay, and objects are those that has properties that describes the object and some behavior. Fine, because objects are nothing but, these are real world entities, these have physical existence. Objects, anything around you is an object. Okay, pen is an object, the laptop is an object, the phone is an object, anything that you can see is an object, anything that exists physically is an object. You yourself are an object. Fine. So in object oriented programming, we break a given task, we break a given problem into different parts, and we call them. Now we shall understand classes and objects in a more detailed manner. Okay, so just as I said, what is an object? So first we will try to understand what an object is. Fine. So what is an object? As I said, anything that exists physically, anything that has got physical existence is an object. Okay, dogs, human beings, plants, anything, cars. Okay, everything is an object. So when we talk about an object will have certain properties that describes it. Okay, and that we call attributes. Do you have RDBMS paper this semester? Yes, do you have RDBMS paper this semester? Anyone? What happened? No one is responding.
Ma'am, can you repeat this, ma'am?
What?
RD, ma'am?
Oh, okay, you don't have
Ma'am,
database.
you told something
Do you
RD.
do you base the database subject this semester? Relationally
Ma'am, we have only data structure and algorithm, ma'am.
okay, you don't have it. Okay, anyways, fine. Okay, ठीक है, no problem. You see, okay, leave that aside. Objects, so as I said, every object has got some properties that describes it. For example, you, okay, I as a person, I have certain properties. Okay, for example, I have a name, that is my property. Fine. I have a complexion, that is my property. Okay, my height is my property, my weight is my property, my age is one of my properties, my address. So all these, the properties that describes an object is called an attribute. So be it your name, your phone number, your age, your weight, okay, your complexion, your hair color, your eye color, fine. Then your whatever, the shape of your nose, everything. Okay, so everything, you know, that belongs to you, okay, everything that defines you is an attribute of yours. And every object will have, you know, different types of properties. For example, I am a human being, you are also a human being, fine. Whatever properties I have, those many properties you also have. You also have got a name, you also have got an age, height, weight, complexion, everything, your blood group, your address, your phone number. So you and I belong to the similar type of objects. We are human beings. Just understand what I'm saying, huh? I am an object, you are also an object. The laptop is also an object, my phone is also an object, books are also objects. Okay, bags, pencils, pens, car, vehicles, animals, trees, everything that you see around you is an object. Fine. Objects will have different properties. Okay, my properties will be different from the properties of the laptop. Fine. A tree's property will be different from that of animals. Okay, you have a dog, and then you have a dog, and then you have a cat. Fine. So dog will have different properties than cats. Fine. Or you say you have a dog and you have a car. Your car will have different properties than your dog. What can be the properties of a dog? It can also have a name that you can give it. Huh? It will have a breed, it will have an age. Okay, it will have colors, whether or not it is a furry dog, okay, or non-furry. Okay, its weight. Fine. So these are the properties that will describe the dog. Then talking about the vehicle, say for example, I have a car. Okay, so what can be the properties of a car? It can have a model number. Okay, it can have a model, it can have a registration number, it can have color, it can have an engine. So these are the different types of properties that the car will possess, and these properties will define that particular object. Now talking about similar type of objects. Similar type of objects means you and I. That means, for example, I'm talking about the same class of objects. Same class means we belong to the same family, human beings. You are also a human being, I am also a human being. Fine. Whatever properties I have, you also have. But the values will be different. I have name, age, complexion, blood group, phone number, address. You also have those attributes. Okay. But however, the values for my attributes will be different, and your values will be different. Values in the sense, what is my name? I'm Namrata. What is your name? Say your name is A. Fine. My age is suppose 20, your age is 10. My phone number is different, yours is different. Fine. So we have the same properties. We exhibit this, we have the same properties. Okay, we have similar properties, but the values of the properties are different. Okay, and these values makes every object different from one another. Okay, I have a name, you also have a name. Okay, if I am a student, then I will have a roll number, you will also have a roll number. Fine. So you are a student, I am also a student. So we are same objects. However, how will I differentiate you from me? with the values of the properties that I have. My value for roll number is 1, your value for roll number is 2. So if I call out, if the teacher calls out, roll number 1, please stand up. We both are not going to stand up. Only roll number 1 will stand up. So if you see, although we both objects have same properties, however, we are, distinct from one another depending on the values that our attributes have. Fine. So that is all about attributes. Attributes means, in simple terms, it is the properties that define an object and that, makes an object different from another object. Fine. Next, we talk about behavior. Now, what is a behavior? Talking about an object, okay, I am an object. I have some properties which I have already stated, okay, and I will also exhibit some behavior. I have some behavior. For example, I run, I walk, yes, I sleep, I eat, yes. So these are my behaviors. I shout, I scream, I teach, okay. So these are my behavior. I perform some tasks. So every object has got properties and behavior associated with it. Fine. So all these attributes and behavior together will define a real life entity or an object. Fine. Talking about dogs. Here I have an example for dog. Okay, talking about dogs. What can be the behavior of dog? It can bark, it can sleep, it can eat. Fine. So these are the, basics of an object. Fine. So here we have an object consists of state, behavior, and identity. First is identity. Identity means what? How to identify you. That is your name. Or you can also have a roll number. Being a student, you will have a roll number. Of course, dogs are not students, so they will only have a name. Fine. Then the state. That means your properties that will describe you. Okay. For example, breed, age, color. Fine. Then behavior. Okay. The procedures or behaviors that it exhibits, that it shows. For example, it barks, it sleeps, it eats. So these are the behavior. So this together, all these three, constituents together makes up an object. Fine. Is it clear till here? Objects.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. So if anybody asks you what is an object, you don't have to remember your book definition for this. Anything around us that we see is an object. Anything that physically exists is an object. To be an object, it is very important to have an identity that will help us to identify the object. Okay, such as the name, or if you are students, then you can have your roll numbers as your identity. Fine. Then you should have properties. Okay, anyways, identity comes under properties only. Fine. So your name will anyways come under attributes. Fine. However, in this diagram, it has been shown differently, but it is the same thing. Okay. So properties will describe you. Okay. So in your properties, if you divide your properties, then you can have identity, and then one side you can have state. Okay. So the state are those properties that describes the object. For example, you have your whatever, your age, whatever. Fine. Your blood group, etc. Then your behavior. That is the functions or the how you respond, how you will respond. Fine. So that is your behavior. Okay, that is what an object is all about. Now we talk about classes. Okay, now since we are to learn object oriented programming, okay, object oriented programming is purely based on objects, but to program objects, but to write a program using objects, you have to make use of classes. Now what is a class? Fine. You see, just as I said, we have different objects around us. Okay, the earth itself is an object, and everything on top of the earth, everything on the earth or inside it are also different objects. Fine. Now, talking about classes, you see, let us consider your batch. Okay, your batch. Now, when I say BTech CTIS third semester, so if you see BTech CTIS third semester, what is this? This is your batch. This is your class. And what do you get from this? What idea do you get when I say BTech third semester students? If I call out all the students from BTech third semester, then everyone belonging to your batch will come up to me. Fine. So what is that? BTech third semester is nothing but what? It is just an idea. It is just a template, you can say. Okay, it is just a definition. It has got no physical existence. When I say BTech third semester, it is just a concept. There is no physical existence of BTech third semester. But who represents BTech third semester? The students of your class represents BTech third semester. Do you get me? And who are these students? These students are the physical entities. That is, these are the objects of BTech third semester. Fine. So BTech third semester is the class. Okay. What does a class do? A class is nothing but a definition, you can say. Definition of all the objects having similar properties and behavior. I repeat, a class is a definition of a group of objects which exhibits similar type of behavior and has similar type of properties. Talking about your batch, the students from your class, all of you has same properties, starting with the first, which is roll number. Each of you has got a roll number, or you have enrollment ID. That would be more specific to understand. Okay, that will be more proper to understand. You have got enrollment ID. So your enrollment ID starts with ADTU / then your batch. 2000. When did you get admitted? 2019. Okay, 2019 to 2022. Yes, BTech 4 years. Yes. 1, 2, 3. No, the 2023. 2019 to 2023 / then your course name, that is BTech CTIS / your roll number. Finally, you have the roll number at the end. Okay. So if you see, every student belonging to your class has the same type of enrollment ID. Yes, so all of you has got an enrollment ID. That is your first property. That means from enrollment point of view, all of you are same. Okay, you have the same enrollment. You have enrollment IDs as one of your properties. Next, you have got a name. So that is another property which is common to you all. Then you have age. Yes, you have what? You have different subjects, and all your subjects are different. Subjects belonging to roll number 1 and subjects belonging to roll number 2 are the same. They are not different. Fine. So everything. Okay, the class timetable. Talking about the class timetable. Your class timetable is same to roll number 2. Fine. So if I talk about the properties of all the students of your class, you all have the same properties. That is why, since you have the same properties, since you got admitted in the same year here, okay, your year of admission was same. Fine. Your course is same. That is BTech CTIS. Yes. That is why you have been grouped together, because you all exhibit similar attributes, properties. Okay. You have been grouped together inside this class, which is BTech CTIS. So BTech CTIS is just a concept. It has got no physical existence. It is logical. It is abstract. But there is but it is simply a definition. Okay, you can consider it to be a definition. Your BTech, the name BTech CTIS third semester. When I say this, it defines you. It is your definition. So when one student comes to me and somebody asks, who is this? I can define. He is from BTech CTIS third semester. So what is that? That is nothing but the class. And using the class, I have simply defined you. And you are the object who belongs to that class. Is that clear? So every class, every class is a definition of the properties and the behavior. Okay? Not properties and behavior, similar properties and behavior belonging to a group of objects. So since the students of your batch exhibits all similar behavior and similar properties, that is why you have been placed under one particular class or one particular batch, that is BTech CTIS. Okay, so that is, see, if you see the examples that I have been giving for so long, everything is related to the real life. So when object oriented does this thing only, you know, it implements the real life applications. It is used to implement real life applications. Fine, everything is related to real life, and in real life we see everything as an entity. Okay, we see everything as an entity, not as a function. Fine, so that is what object oriented programming is all about. So the basics of object oriented programming is what makes up the object oriented programming is classes and objects. Okay, now we just here I have already described this object dog. Yes, now we look at one example here, the dog class. Okay, now you see here I have simply described one object. Okay, the dog object. Okay, I have just simply considered. So if you talk about a dog object, then it will have attributes and it will have behaviors. Now say I want to take a group of dogs. Okay, now if I take a group of dogs, then for that group, because dogs are similar, they are the same objects. Yes, so different dogs, doesn't matter how many number of dogs I have, all these dogs will exhibit the same attributes and behavior. That is why I can place them inside the class. Okay, and that therefore I have named it to be the class dog. Okay, so the name of this class is dog. Fine, now as I said, class is nothing but a definition of the different objects belonging to that class. Okay, so talking about the dog class, so the dog class will have all the properties and behavior that all dogs will exhibit. Okay, so if you see, attributes are the same: breed, age, color, and behaviors are also the same: bark, sleep, eat. So you know, collect all the similar properties and you place them inside the class. Okay, so this is how we represent a class. Inside the class you will have all the properties and behavior that defines the dog objects. Okay, and depending on that, depending on your program requirement, you can create as many dog objects as you want to. In my example I have 4 dogs. Okay, dog 1, dog 2, dog 3 and dog 4. So these are my 4 objects, and each of these 4 dog objects will have the same properties and behavior. Fine, now is it clear till here? At least basics, is it clear about classes and objects?
Yes, ma'am, clear.
Rest of the students, who will make it?
Yes, ma'am.
Clear.
Yes, ma'am.
Where is Baba? Eta manlok matin mo ito. Okay, Kritika, is it clear? Girls first.
Yes, ma'am.
Dipanji. Yes, Dipanji. What happened? He's not here. I have okay, Dritishman has replied yes in the chat section. What about Dipanjit? Where is he? See, if you don't respond to me, I will mark you absent. I am also a very cruel teacher, I'm telling you. Every action has got equal and opposite reaction, yes or no? You don't respond to me, I will also not respond to your presence. I will give you absent. That's it. How many of you are sleeping here? Jivan, present or not? Asa? Udit Krishna, Sushanta? Egita kiene bohi asa niki? Matsat nai. Rohit? Pranav? Anyways.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
I'm Rohit, present.
Okay. Okay, anyways. Okay, Udit Krishna has also responded. Okay, anyways. Okay, since you have understood the basics of, see, we have not started with programming yet. Okay, once we start, you will understand how to write programs using classes and objects. Okay. But I just want you to understand the basic, concepts. That's it. Fine. What an object is and what a class is. Okay. Object is something that has got physical existence. Class is something that has got logical existence. Logical means it is just an idea or a concept. Okay. So classes are used to define objects. Objects have properties and behavior that defines an object. Okay. So when you talk about a group of objects, so all the similar type of objects, okay, when all the similar type of objects which has got the same properties and behavior can be grouped inside a single place, okay, repository you can say, which we call the class. Okay, so class is nothing but a combination of, a description of the attributes and behaviors that an object belonging to that class will possess. Okay, that is it. Fine. Now we see one example here. Since you have done C programming, so you will be able to relate it better. See, you have used structure. Why do we use structure? What is the purpose of using structures? Structure is a user-defined data type. Okay, user-defined in the sense, see, you have gone through basic data types such as int, float, character, yes, double, boolean. So all these are the basic or primitive data types. Then you have gone through the derived data types, that is arrays, pointers, functions. These are derived data types. Okay. But however, talking about derived data types always talk about the same type of data. Talking about arrays are derived data types because arrays make use of basic data types. Okay. All the data types which makes use of the primitive data types are derived data types. Okay. Now array is a derived data type. Okay, it has got, so talking about array is, a collection of homogeneous elements. Okay, it is a collection of homogeneous elements which are stored in contiguous memory locations. So what is homogeneous elements? Elements which has got the same type. Okay, elements which have same type are homogeneous elements. So if I take an array, I can use it to store only one type of data. So I can say I want to store a list of data there, okay, list of elements, but I have a restriction. I can store elements belonging to the same type. Either I can store only integer type of data or I can store only float type of data. I cannot choose both data. Okay, I cannot choose both the types. Fine, I have to choose only one data type. And every element will belong to that particular data type. So that is what arrays do. But what is a structure? Structure is a user-defined data type in that. Why? Because structure, we define it. We users define it depending on our requirement. Say for example, I want to design. Say for example, let me give you one example here. I have the attendance. Okay, I maintain students' attendance. Fine. So in students' attendance, what do I have? I will have serial numbers. Just think about the register. I will have serial numbers. Then I will have the roll numbers or enrollment IDs. Then I will have the names of the students. Then I will have the days of one particular month. And I will take attendance accordingly for every day of that month. Okay. So if you notice properly, what am I doing? I am maintaining records. Okay. I am maintaining records, and a record can have any type of data. I want to show you something. You will have a better understanding on structure. Wait. এখন দেখিছা নেকি ৰবা হা মই just wait what happened to minimize কৰিলে হেৰি হৈ যায় যে Okay, can you view this?
Yes, ma'am.
This is your,
Yes, ma'am.
yes, this is your attendance sheet. Habo, habo. I can hear you all. Yes, yes. More dictated. Roba. Okay, see here. In this sheet, I'm maintaining the records of your batch. This is your attendance. Yes. So here, what am I maintaining? Enrollment ID, student name, and this is for August month. Okay, your class started from 17th and it will continue till 31st. So until then, for the entire month, for as many classes you will have this month, I will be maintaining your attendance. Okay. So here, if you see enrollment ID consists of characters, it is character data type. Okay, student name is also character data type. Then your attendance, if you see what values am I storing, these are integer values. So your attendance, okay, the attendance that I am taking can be thought of as integers. Yes, of course I am not going to use float here. I am not going to use decimal numbers to give you attendance. Yes, I am keeping count. I am not marking it as present or absent. If I give P or AB, then I will have to use character. But here I am using numbers to keep a count of your attendance. Fine. So that is why if you are to represent numbers, then you can use integer. Fine. So if you see, I am maintaining different types of data here. Okay. Now to maintain this record, okay, now to write an application in C to maintain this record, you have to use user defined data type, that is the structure or union. Okay, structure and union are same. Okay, but we will use structure. So using structure, what we can do is we can maintain different types of data. Okay, and what do we do using structure? We maintain records. So this particular line, okay, this particular row that has been selected is one record. Okay, so this is record of enrollment 14. Minakitanjit. I don't know what's the issue with his name. I cannot pronounce it properly. Anyways, next is Dipanjit. Next is Kritika. Next is Samuel. So every time I'm selecting one row, I'm getting one record. Okay, this Anish. This is also one record with enrollment ID 18, student name Anish Paul, and these are his attendance. Okay. So to maintain records, we use structures or unions. Okay. So going back, here I have a structure implementation. Suppose I want to only maintain the roll number and name of a student. Okay. For that, I have used struct student. Struct is the keyword followed by the structure name, or we call it the tag name. Okay, student. So student is the structure. Fine. So inside student structure, I will be maintaining the properties that describes the student. Fine. So say I have role and name as the properties. Okay. Then what I will do is, just as in structure now, so this is your student. Okay, this is your student structure. It will have role and name. Okay, so this student is nothing but an abstract idea. It is just an idea. Now, if I am to specifically point out to a student, it will either be this student or this student. So what are these? These are nothing but the objects. Okay, these are also. Okay, see. So what was I talking about? Yeah. So in this example, I have designed a structure student, okay, having two members, that is role and name. So these are the data members of student. Okay, these are the data members. So here I have this student inside which I have the members, role and name. So these are the properties that will describe the student objects. So this is just a definition. This is just a template. Okay. Now you will have to implement it. How will you implement it? Using objects of structure student. Okay. So just as here I showed you just as attendance, every student that I showed you was an object. Okay, so you have to implement an object. Okay, so that we call, so in structure we don't call them as objects, we call them as variables, structure variables. Okay, so here we define structure variables in two ways. Either you can give it this way, S1 comma S2. So this determines two different students. One is S1 and one is S2. So these are the structure variables. And another way is to design it this way. Okay, you can either directly declare your structure variables with the structure itself, or what you can do is you can just omit this from here, give a colon, here your structure ends. Then in the next line you again have to mention, okay, struct the keyword student S1, S2. So here S1 and S2 are your objects. These will be your two students. Okay. So now, as you can see, these are my two students. So I have implemented this structure using these two students S1 and S2. Now here S1, now see S1, for S1 also, S1 will also be maintaining the same members. Okay, S2 will also be maintaining the same members, provided their values will be different. As I said, objects might have same properties, but their values must be different, which makes them different from one another. So although S1 and S2 belongs to the same structure student, okay, they will have the same properties. S1 will also have role and name, S2 will also have role and name. However, both will have different values. Okay, now see, initially there will be no value stored inside. Okay, there will be simply some space allocated. Okay, there will be some space allocated for S1 and S2, inside which, you know, there will be some space for entering roll number and name. Okay, here also there will be a blank space for entering roll number and name for student S2. Now how are we to read this values here? How are we to store the values here? How do we access the data members inside a structure? Using the dot operator. If you simply write roll, okay, if you simply write roll, what do you understand by this? Whose roll? Because I am maintaining a list of objects here. If I say roll number stand up, what do you understand by roll number? I have to specify roll number 1 stand up. Do you get me? So this is how you have to specify the object, okay, before you write the data member. So if I write s1.roll, I am actually pointing to student 1's roll number. Okay, so we access data members inside a structure using the structure variable followed by the dot operator. Fine. So this statement means I want to access the roll number of student 1, okay, which is inside here, and then you can access it either to read values from the standard key input device or to display the values on the monitor. Okay, you can access values for whatever reason. Okay, but to access the data members stored inside structure, you have to use the dot operator, which is followed by the structure variable or the object. We would call this as object in class, but here we would simply refer to it as a structure variable followed by dot operator followed by the data member. Similarly, if I am to say read values to the name of student S1, or I am to display the value of display the name of student S1, for that again I will have to access the data member name. For that again I have to mention S1.name. So similarly, if I want to access role and names for student S2, I have to specify S2 before the data member. Fine. So the same thing, okay, is done even in here. You have already got the concept of objects and classes in C. However, you have got a partial idea. Okay, you have simply maintained records, that is, you have simply learned to maintain the properties. Fine. Structure can never represent behavior. Okay, structure can never represent behavior. Fine, but classes can define behavior as well, because in real life, objects not only has got properties, but objects also exhibit some behavior. Okay, so here we have simply learned to maintain records using structure. Okay, here we will learn to implement an object in real life, and an object not only has got properties, but it also has got associated behavior that it exhibits. Fine. So in this example below, the same has been represented but using a class. If you see, okay, here in structure we use the struct keyword, in here we use the class keyword. Okay, so student is the class here. Now, since we are to design students, we are to define students. So students, in my example, suppose I have role and name as the properties to define the students, and I have some, say, we will not go into public and all this. Okay, we'll just ignore it for today. Okay, we will not get into this. These are called access specifiers, so we will not get into this. I'm just trying to make you understand the basic concept. Okay, I'm just trying to draw a comparison between C structure and OOP class. Okay, so here in the student class I have the same data members here, okay, as in here, and followed by I have the behavior that the objects of that class will exhibit, that is, say, read and display. Okay, I have some associated behavior. Okay, I might have also some other behaviors, like you can have result. Okay, so let me give it here this way. Say you have result. Let me give it this way. So you have test. Okay, then you have sports result. Anyways, so these can be some of the functions that can be associated with a student. A student appears for test. Okay, student appears for exam. That is one behavior a student exhibits. A student participates in sports. Yes, so accordingly there will be some result for the sports. So that is one kind of a behavior exhibited by the student. So in my example here, I have considered the same example. Okay, the data members are same, provided because it's a class. Okay, and it is an class describes objects in real life, and objects always has got properties and behavior. So here you also have to define behavior that the objects belonging to the class will perform. Okay, will have. So these are the behavior. And now see here, this is how we represent a class. Okay, so this is the student class. We have the data part. Okay, the data members are the properties, and then we have the functions or the behavior. Okay, let me just replace it this way. Say test and sports. Okay, so these are the behaviors. So as you can see, inside the class, data and functions can be stored together. Okay, but structure only contains data, no functions. Fine. Next, as I said, this is just a concept, this is just a definition. To implement this class, you have to make use of objects now. Okay, if I am to point to a particular student, I am to implement it first. Okay, I have to be able to point out to a particular student. So this is just a template. This has got no logical physical existence. Okay, only the objects belonging to the class will have physical existence. So if I am to refer to someone, I am to refer to an object, not the class. So therefore, how do you create objects? Just as in structure, we create objects, we create variables this way. Okay, we create structure variables this way, struct student. Okay, so this is the structure name followed by the object name. Similarly, even in here, we create objects this way, we declare objects this way. Student, okay, student will be the class name followed by, but here you don't have to make use of the class keyword. Okay, just as in structure, we make use of struct. Yes, we make use of struct here. Here you don't have to make use of class keyword. You simply have to mention the class name followed by the objects that you want to declare and use in your program. Fine. So here I have created two objects S1, S2. So accordingly in memories, a block of memory will be allocated to each of S1 and S2. So this will be the block and this will be the block for S2 and S1. Fine. Now once it is created, you have to, okay, you have to say insert, you have to read values to those data. Okay, you have to read values, and please remember that inside objects we don't have functions. Okay, we don't have functions here. Fine. Functions are always defined inside the class. Objects will only have the copies of their properties. Fine. Objects will only have copies of their properties, and the functions that all the objects of this class will exhibit, that will be described inside the student class. Okay, inside the class, and these functions will be shared by all the objects. So if you see, inside objects we have space only for the data. We don't create space to store functions. So what is a function? Function is nothing. It has got a logical existence. Okay, it will simply perform a task. So functions are always described inside the class. Okay, all the objects that will have the same functions will be described inside the class. Fine. Objects will simply share the functions. All the objects will simply share the functions. Okay, to read values to the data or to access the data from the data members. Okay, that we will understand in the next class in a better way. Just for the time being, you understand that just as in structure we use the structure name followed by the structure variable to create structure variables. Here also that's the similar way we we create objects using the keyword student. Okay, the class key, the class name student. Fine. Then again, if you are to access the data members or the member functions, so the behavior properties are called as data members in the class, and the behavior exhibited by the object we call them as member functions. Okay, so all these member functions or the data members belonging to the class can be accessed in this way, just as we have done in structure. Okay, say you want to access roll number for student 1. Fine, you have to access it using s1.roll. Okay, only then it will specify for which particular object you want to access roll number. Okay, suppose you want to access the test function. Okay, let me just make a slight change here. So this will be public. I will not explain now what is public and all. Okay, but for this example this has to be public. Okay, now you see the object. Okay, for every object created for this class, they will have their own copy of the data members. Okay, and to be able to read values or to be able to access those data members, you have to make use of this particular statement, that is s1.roll. You have to make use of the dot operator, object name dot operator followed by the data member name. So likewise, you can access roll for student 1. Suppose you want to access the test function. Okay, test function for student 1, that is you want to find the result. Okay, for student 1, exam result for student 1. For that you have to call this function test. Okay, since it is for student 1, so you have to specify the object name followed by dot followed by the member function. Okay, so if you see, everything that we have done in structure in your previous semester is same as in class, provided structure cannot implement objects in real world because structures cannot define behavior or functions, but classes define the behavior along with properties. Fine, that is why we use classes to in real life applications. Fine, so this is actually the basic idea of classes and objects and how it is different from structure in C. Okay, so I'll end the class here. Do you have any doubt? Any doubt?
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, functional, ma'am. Class, ma'am. Once repetition, ma'am.
Functional and class
মানে
one
মেম মানে
মানে
অলপ কনফিউজ হৈ গৈছে মেম মানে
কিহৰ কি কনফিউজন আছে এটা কাম কৰো না ইটস অলৰেডি
মেম মানে
10:30
আপুনি মেম
কোৱা মানে কি কনফিউজন আছে কোৱাচোন
মেম মানে আমি আমাৰ